All right, so we'll go ahead and talk about kind of the results of your amazing analysis that you did here on the inbound network with the crosstalk. I'm going to flip over to I'm going to explain the solution a little bit, and then I'll flip over and show you what that Excel file looks like. So the first thing that I would do if I were to be routing into a crosstalk facility is kind of figure out like what are the volumes from each origin to each destination, which we have that kind of accounted for already. But I'm just going to look at that and figure out, okay, how much is going from Johnson Controls to both, or how much is going from each from the crosstalk to each plant. And so then I'm going to route the trucks to the crosstalk. So if there's any that makes sense to go direct to the plants, sure, you're going to take care of that. But the more likely scenario is just route everything into the crosstalk first, and then actually route it from the crosstalk to the individual plants. So those are two separate kind of activities. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'll actually flip over to this Excel document just so we can look at it together. So we've got those weekly volumes. So this is what we're looking at. So everything going in together is a total of 5 trucks. So again, we had to round up to say, you know, if you are shipping 1.4 trucks, that means 2, right? You're always gonna have to send a full truckload from your supplier to the plant. So you were actually sending 8 trucks a week from these suppliers, but if you combine them together, you're actually only going to send 5 trucks, right? So there's an opportunity for savings there, certainly. So what you've got here is a one potential plan that you could use to account for this. One potential plan would be basically 5 days a week. Again, we have 5 truckloads worth of volume from these 3 suppliers. So one solution would be, you know what, 5 days a week, we're going to ship from all of these suppliers into the crosstalk. Okay, so that's your the majority of your cost is going to be, $6,200 is going to be running it into that crosstalk facility. And then we need 3 truckloads to go to plant 1. So again, back on the weekly volumes, if I look up, what's my plant 1 volume? So I'm just going to grab those 3 numbers, and it's 3. And then my plant 2 volume is 2. Oh, sorry guys. So I'm going to send 3 trucks to plant 1. I've got a cross-docking fee of $150, and then I've got 58 miles from the cross-dock to the plant, right? So there's my cost. And then I'm going to send 2 trucks to the other plant, right? So there's my mileage fee, $237 plus the cross-docking fee I pay every time. So my total weekly cost is $774 on that truck. So suppliers to crosstalk, if you're fancy logistics folks, you would call this your sub routes. And then the crosstalk to the plants, you would call these your main routes. Not important, not on a test, I promise. But together, your cost for this design is $7,900, right? So you look at your previous cost was $8,900. Your new cost is $7,900, so you've saved about $1,000 a week. Again, $1,000, is that a big deal? Times 50 weeks, now you're saving some money, right? So 50 grand for these 3 suppliers is pretty significant. It's about 11-12% savings. And in this case with the crosstalk, that's really only a small part of it. And I'm going to explain what the rest of that benefit is here in just a second. If you have questions on this, I would love to talk to you about it. If it's like, man, I'm really interested in this, I couldn't figure out how you did it. And again, these are like basic versions. When I taught the elective, we actually built like 40 supplier, 8 plant, 3 crosstalk networks. And I think everyone was cussing me by the end of it, but it's kind of fun. It's a puzzle. It's art. It's not science. But I'm just trying to give you kind of a taste of what logistics planning looks like out in the real world. So In this example, about a 12% savings. Again, I'll upload this file as well, so you can reference it. So we just covered those. So back to Q&A here. In addition to lower cost, what other benefits exist for adding a crossdock? So obviously there was a lower cost even after you pay for the cross-docking fee. The benefits that you get from adding a cross-dock. So now those plants, instead of getting random freight day in and day out, what you can actually do is send the freight from the supplier out to the plants kind of metered, so that just that day's activity is on the truck, right? So not only are you leveling the flow of activity, because now you're just expecting certain trucks in from the cross-dock, but you're also only getting the freight you need for that day, and the rest of it is staying at the cross-dock. So the most expensive real estate for companies is like the plant floor, the warehouse floor, like high-touch, high-volume environments. A cross-dock facility that's off-site, where you're just kind of storing pallets, much cheaper, much more economical place to store freight than on the manufacturing site floor. A lot of companies have huge warehouses they have to dig through to find production parts. They are wasting so much money and time and effort trying to find those parts. Better to only have what you need for that day or maybe a few days on site, and the rest of it kind of held in reserve, ready to be sent from the cross-dock or metered from the cross-dock. What are the drawbacks adding the cross-dock? Again, it's hard to do. It is not easy to operate a cross-dock. You have to get suppliers to label things correctly, all these things, right? So just a factor you have to consider as you're deciding how to do it. It also does add a little bit of lead time, I should say that as well. Typically, the benefit of it is suppliers can ship more frequently. So instead of giving like 2 trucks a week from a supplier, you're in that supplier every single day in this design, right? So now if they need to ship you something, you don't have to wait 2 days or 3 days for the next truck to pick up there. It'll be on tomorrow's truck, right? How does the cost change if a supplier doesn't have freight ready to ship when you arrive? Same question as we asked in the first scenario. If you plan out a full truck and the supplier doesn't have it ready, not only is that truck running empty, now you're paying for another truck later on. So your costs certainly go up because of this. All right, so that covers us on the network design. Again, if you have specific questions on it, I'm very, very happy to talk with you about it. Probably reach out over email or on Canvas,